and welcome to the Omen Path podcast. I'm here with my good friend Dom, aka the Dominator. How you doing, my friend?
Really well, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
I am not too bad. We'll get into it in a little bit, but just been extraordinarily busy. Again, apologies to everyone. It has been a while since we last recorded our last podcast. I'm going to hold my hands up here. I have been extraordinarily busy with content and in my actual day job. I know you've been busy as well, Dom, but this one's on me, man. I've been extraordinarily busy, and yeah. So apologies to everyone out there, but we are here. We are ready to catch up and update. Dom, what have you been up to, my friend?
So when we last spoke, I was about to head off to MCM Comic-Con in London.
How was it?
It was really cool, actually. Yeah. A bit of traffic getting there, but I made it in time. I watched the cast of Baldur's Gate 3 playing live D&D for 3 hours, and then I went and got my giant card signed by
that's right,
Devora Wild, who does the voice of Lae'zel in the game. So
I know you were particularly looking forward to that. How was that, taking your card around the whole time?
Hilariously, I thought I'd be able to park at the venue and then just like put it in the cloakroom. When I got to the venue, it said, "Oh no, this time it's only pre-booked parking only." I've never had to pre-book parking before. It's obviously just got that busy now. So they directed me to a car park, which is like a mile away. So I had to go and park there, carry my card on the DLR, the Docklands Light Railway.
Yep.
Back to the convention centre, and I had to carry it around with me all day. But a lot of people actually wanted a picture of it.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
So, yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, a few people took a picture of it while I was there. And then, yeah, I did eventually get it signed as well.
I did see, I know you sent me a nice little picture with yourself and the artist and the card as well. So I'm sure it's kind of one of those things. I'm sure people are bringing her the card to sign anyway. But did she say anything about? Obviously, it's the large card as well. Are you the first?
Yeah, she said she'd never seen one that big before.
Ah, nice.
So
that's so cool. Well, you know, insert jokes around that scenario.
But yeah. So she'd never seen someone with a giant card before, so that was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, so she wanted a picture or a selfie with the card in as well. So yeah, that was really cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I know that was a big thing you wanted to do while you were there. What about the rest of the event? Was it as good as you wanted it to be?
Yeah, there was quite a lot more than last year, I would say, of activities you could do. I didn't have a chance to do them all because I was watching the live Baldur's Gate or the live D&D roleplay took up quite a lot of the day.
Yeah.
But there was all kinds of Magic Madhouse were there, actually.
Oh, nice.
And they had a lot of other card games doing demos, or you could like build a Gundam, build Lego, and take it away with you, and all kinds of like stuff you could actually do and take things away for free. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but yeah, so it was a good event.
Nice. I've always fancied a Comic-Con, actually. It's one of those things I'm always a bit like, well, you know, I like everything that's probably going to be at a Comic-Con. It's the type of thing I should go to, but yeah, I've never been to one. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe go next year in May or October.
Yeah,
they do 2 a year in London, so it's not that difficult to get to. So.
I'd have my arm twisted for that. I think it'd be really good. Actually, I say my arm twisted. Doesn't need to be twisted much to go to an event, but yeah, I'd be really keen on that. Actually, it'd be nice to experience. That's for sure.
Yep.
Happy days.
Yeah. So as you said at the start, you've been going on adventures, much like your counterpart of the hairstyle Bilbo.
Yeah, I don't think I ended up at a mountain with a ring light. And there was definitely no there was definitely no lava inside that volcano. But yes, I have been off on adventures. So obviously our last podcast we had the amazing Vince or Pleasant Kenobi on, which was still I absolutely loved recording that. It has gone down extremely well. Everybody seems to have had interactions with it, so it was always very, very good. But yeah, since then, I can go into a bit more detail, but I've I've been to Magic on Vegas. I've been to the European CDH Championships in Lisbon. And I've actually been away myself as well. I managed to actually take my lovely wife away on holiday. I say on holiday. We went for a long weekend, but I was almost away in Vegas longer than we went away. But as I always say, I have a very understanding wife. So, but yeah, look, Vegas. I'll start with Vegas because it was the big one, and the big one is the only way to explain it. It's absolutely humongous. So, I know you. You're at the. I don't know if you when we was at Amsterdam. I don't know if you spoke to many people, but the general consensus was that Amsterdam was bigger than last year's Vegas. So
interesting.
Yeah, which I did find really interesting because I was a bit like, well, Vegas is the one. So so I expected it to be about the same size as Amsterdam, if not. No, it was far bigger than that. I do have a showcase video that's going to be coming up at some point. I need to get on top of that. But as part of it, I was talking about on camera about how to show how big it was, because it's so big that when you look in the distance, you don't really see the back of the convention hall. You just see stuff in the background. So I had an idea that I would film from the very back of the convention hall right to the very front. It wasn't quite to the very back and to the very front because I didn't want to go through security and all that sort of stuff. And then the whole idea is I'd speed the video clip up really, really quickly, just so you get a flash, a gauge of how big it is. Yeah. And it was like just over 6 minutes to go from like back to front. I know it doesn't sound like a long time, but you walk 6 minutes and then look back. It's a hell of a distance, you know. Yeah. And I walk quite fast as well. And then you've got upstairs as well, so it was 2-tiered. It wasn't quite as big upstairs as it was down. I'd say it's just over halfway, but it's just like nothing you've ever seen before. I mean, obviously, you know, America bigger and better. This really was bigger and better, and it was just incredible. And there were so many people there. Yeah. So
what were the highlights for you, particularly?
There's just so many. First and foremost, like, honestly, this is going to sound really like, I don't know how this is going to sound. The community was incredible. There was no negativity. Everyone was positive. Everyone was having a great time. There's so many laughs and jokes. Honestly, the community was probably maybe my number one thing about Vegas. It was so encouraging. You know, you could sit down with anyone, have a chat, talk about the convention, talk about them, talk about whatever. Just sit down. Everyone was in such good spirits, good moods. The shopping was like nothing we've ever seen. Like it's a lot. So you remember how big Amsterdam was?
Yeah.
I reckon it's at least 3 times the size of Amsterdam. It was humongous.
So this was what, the merch area or what?
Yeah, that's right. And you could get everything. So from playmats, boxes of older cards, singles, like they had Cool Stuff Inc. and all the big known guys there, which was massive. You were doing, you could get like t-shirts, printed t-shirts. They had honestly, you name it, accessory-wise, you could get it. The Ultimate Guard guys were there, Dragon Shield were there, like Pinfinity, like you had all these really big, well-known associated accessories as well as the cards themselves. And just honestly, the cards they had there were just incredible. Just on a quick side note, I managed to because we're going to have Matt, who owns our LGS, on hopefully next podcast coming really soon. But he has been after the Japanese foil version of the Liliana for a while. We've spoken about it in the past.
The Japanese art version.
Yeah. So they had a couple of copies there and actually were really good priced. So I sent him a little message, and I was going to tease him. I was going to say, "Oh, look what I just brought," but actually, I thought I'd do him a solid, and I said, "Look, it's a really good price. Do you want me to pick it up for you?" And he said, "Yes, of course." It was actually a really good price, actually. And so I feel like I've earned my brownie points with Matt for the next year. So boom. But honestly, like you think of it, it's going to be there. It was absolutely amazing. Again, it's one of those things I'm going to be talking about in my video. You can't explain it in words. You have to visually see it. It's so big. So they're probably my top two things. You've got the Pro Tour going on, so you've got the World Championships that's going on at the side. Yeah. I didn't get to see as much as I wanted to. I really wanted to get some good coverage of it. It was just so busy. But yeah, like ticketed play, there was so much going on. The Commander Zone, was humongous. Honestly, the grandeur of it is just, I'm not doing it any justice. It was humongous. It was just so big. And then upstairs, you've got some really nice. So they've got like a Duskmourn, like, like when we went to Barca, they had the Lord of the Rings set up, and at Amsterdam they had the Bloomburrow set up. They had like a Bloomburrow theme upstairs as well, like a little area. They had the Duskmourn as well, so you could actually had like little quizzes and puzzles you could figure out. So it was really interactive and really interesting. So that was really cool. Artists, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, so these are areas where you can like take pictures, and they've been decorated in a way that looks like the planes.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, so it was, and like the Dustmore one in particular was really cool. Like I said, you had like an interactive. It's not really like a quiz. Like you had to figure out the puzzle sort of thing, which is really cool actually. Yeah, that was really good. Creator Zone, that was so busy, like so incredibly busy, but in a good way. You're just sort of sitting there, and I don't know, anyone that everyone's there. It's actually really nice to spend some time with some of the North American creators as well. They were all really cool. It's just really good. There was such a good vibe about it. That's the one thing I just can't like say enough. The Artist Zone, just incredible. I just, I love the artists, going around the artists as well. It was just one of those. It's one of those really nice experiences that everyone should go and do. If you have any likings to the art and Magic the Gathering, you should always go to these Magic Cons and always go to the artist areas. There's just so much to choose from. It got to the point where you're a bit like, right, okay, I have to choose specifically what I want instead of, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that. Do you know what I mean? But
because you're blowing all your money on a Liliana, is that?
Well, I blew all Matt's money on a Liliana, yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually going to be really good at this convention. So I wanted to get myself. I spoke to you about this before, and I might have spoken about it on the podcast. I like to get a card from an event. So every time I look at it, it reminds me. So the one thing I wanted to get was the Japanese Strixhaven version of Brainstorm, like the one with like the blue cat sort of thing with the lightning bolt sort of thing. So I wanted to pick one of those up, and I saw on early days, and I struggled to find one initially. I really struggled actually, in fact. But one of my managed to actually, I completely missed it. I didn't see it at all. Like, I couldn't see it at all. Like, I'd gone back to the place where I thought I'd seen it. I was like, happy days. Couldn't find it all. To the point where I just sort of almost decided, I was like, right, okay, it's a real shame, but I'm probably going to have to, accept that I couldn't find it. But one of the guys I travelled with, Ed from Midcards, who we met as well, didn't we? And
yes, I need to thank him actually. So I got a boosty from him, and I got the Space Bellerin out of it.
Oh, nice.
I was pissed about it, but yeah.
Well, I'm going to sit here and thank him as well, because he done something honestly incredible. So he knew, because me and him were going around looking at singles, and it's really nice to have someone as engaged in singles and nice cards as much as he was. I love spending time with Ed. He was a great man. And we got to the end of it, and he said to me, he's like, I know you were after the Brainstorm. Did you manage to find one? I said, no, I didn't. We're literally going to the airport this time. And I said to him, I didn't. I said, I went and had another little look. I could not find it. It disappeared. And what a legend. He pulls it out of his bag, and I was like, I've got a little something for you. And he hands me the foil Brainstorm. I'm like, what? And he's just like, he was just like, I knew you were after it. And I knew that if we stepped away from it, it'd disappear. I'd helped organise the trip, and he's just like, look, it's been great spending some time with you. I really appreciate you organising all our travel and that sort of stuff. Like, here's a little token of my appreciation. And I was just like, Ed, that's so kind of you. So massive shout out to Ed, because, I mean, what a dude. It really is. I was so appreciative. It really, got me in the heart a little bit, because I didn't expect it. It was so nice of him. It really was. But, so, yeah, that was Vegas.
Cool.
Yeah, Vegas.
So, yeah. Get yourself to a Magic Con when you can.
They are such good fun. I mean, look, you've been to a couple now. Like, they really are. They are the celebration of Magic at the minute, aren't they? I think.
I think so. Yeah, there's something there for everyone as well. And we've met people there who, they've never played Magic before, but their partner has taken them to the event. They've actually found a lot of stuff that they enjoyed as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely. And then I went to the European CDH Championships in Lisbon, and I had a thoroughly good time.
So did you play, or were you just there for coverage, or what?
So I went over in a capacity that I was filming at the event, so it was just for coverage. Okay. Yeah. But actually, I went over with a group of the UK CDH scene, so they sort of invited me over as well. So we all stayed in a big Airbnb. So I did manage to get some play some games, actually. And I love playing CDH. So, yeah. So we managed to get some games the day before and in the evenings. And then we managed to do some on the final day as well. We managed to get some games in as well. So I managed to play loads of CDH. And as you guys know, I love a bit of CDH. I've rebuilt Kinnan as well. I'm really enjoying playing Kinnan CDH. I made some nice upgrades to Urza as well. So I managed to get which one was it? I managed to get a masterpiece version of Static Orb.
Oh, okay.
That was my card. Well, one of my cards from while I was at Lisbon. But I got pulled into another one, and it's just gone from my head which one it was. It's one of the Moxes. No, it wasn't. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, I managed to pick up 2 masterpieces there, and I was over the moon with it. It was a really good price. I was looking, I was like, that's really well priced. I just had like everyone, I had a little peruse through Card Market, and I was a bit like, that's a really, really good price. So, and I've been after one for a while. So I was like, gonna go pick that up. But the event itself was really, really good. It was hell of a busy. Also, so people, I'm sure you've heard this before. People when you refer to CDH, they're like, oh yeah, but it's all about turn 1 wins, isn't it? You're done within 5-10 minutes. No, it's not that at all.
It's about someone trying to win. 2 players have to spend all their resources to stop them winning, and then the 4th player wins.
Okay. So, one of the best games I watched all weekend was in the top 40s, is what it was. So, the first day, everyone plays. I think they had 7 rounds. 6 was on the first day, and then the 7th was on the final day. And then we had a period of time off, and then you play for top 40, and then you do top 16, and then you go down to the top table, so the final, basically. So in the top 40 category, one of the guys from the UK CDH scene, Ben, who I was sitting there watching, was involved in a 3.5-hour game, which sounds it sounds horrific. We've all been in 3.5-hour EDH games, and you're just like, oh my God, come on. I've never seen so much interaction, politicsing, and powerful plays in one single game. I thoroughly loved it. It was absolutely incredible. Again, I know 3.5 hours, but my God, it was such good fun. It really, really was. Actually, I just want to take a minute to thank the organisers of the European CDH, because there was no spectators allowed from anything from the top 40 upwards, but they allowed me to go in and record and watch it, and I'm so thankful, because it was so much fun watching that. And if you are interested in CDH at all and you want to go watch some of the older coverage, again, I'll be doing a showcase video eventually, but they streamed it as well. So they had live play from the event, which is still up on their Twitch. So go check it out. It was really, really good fun. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But so yeah, that's kind of about sums up my adventures coming up, really. Luckily enough to go to these events, so I'm very, very fortunate. I know you couldn't do Vegas, and I know you was away. If I remember rightly, I know we spoke about this.
The gathering. And I was on holiday in Scotland.
That's right. Yep. Yes, we were. And
just the dates are clashing.
It's always the way, particularly these things. And unfortunately, I know we've just spoke about this off pod as well, but I unfortunately missed the Action's 10th anniversary, and I am absolutely gutted, but I just couldn't make it. I had a glimmer of hope that I might have been able to make it on the Sunday, and it was getting to the week before, and I was like, okay, I might be able to get ready to commit, blah, blah, blah. And then it was just taken out of my hand. I had some family stuff I had to attend to. So, and I know you wanted to do the same, but
I was thinking about going up for one day as well, but you don't know, I work for a power company. So when Storm Burt was announced that it was going to hit, I was on standby. So I was in the office, dispatching fault teams for 9 hours on Saturday and 18 hours on Sunday, which was great fun.
Mate, you're living the dream.
Never mind. I really wanted to see Gladiator 2 at the weekend as well, and I didn't get to do anything. So
I have watched Gladiator 2. I did manage to see that, actually. No spoilers, but it is quite good.
Okay. Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I'll have to catch it this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's definitely worth watching, 100%. So yeah, that's events. Why don't we talk about foundations? Last time we were on here, we were obviously talking about the foundations was incoming. How much foundations have you managed to get your hands on, and how much have you managed to play with?
So I picked up from Langdon Games, our local LGS.
Good old Langdon.
A starter kit, which is basically, it's a set of 400 cards that were fixed, so you knew what you were getting. Mm-hmm. It's like a great way of building your collection up. And then there's 3 boosters in there as well. Apart from that, I've ordered a single to rebuild my Gorgon tribal deck, which is one of the Jumpstart legends. It's like a Ophelia Viper Whisperer.
I know we were talking about this a while back, weren't we? So you did pick it up.
I've talked about it on the pod a few times that my original Commander deck was a Gorgon Kindred deck, and obviously Gorgons are just horrendous. They're all 5 mana 2/5s with Death Touch that don't really do much, and then there's like 3 good ones. But actually, she enables them to be good. So she's a Death Touch. 1/3 for 1 and a black.
Yeah.
And whenever she attacks, you can pay 1 and a hybrid mana, black or green, to create a 1/1 black snake creature token with Death Touch.
Oh, yeah.
That's a first ability. And the second ability, you can pay 4 generic and a black mana until the end of turn. Whenever 1 or more Gorgons and or snakes you control deal combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up.
Oh. Oh, dear.
Something cheeky, like a wound reflection on the board, and then you get through with a little snake and activate this ability, they lose half their life. For every snake that connects.
Yep. And I expect with wound reflection, that would then it's just basically double up and kill them.
Be deceased. Yeah. So that's the idea behind this deck. So I'm going to rebuild this. Most Gorgons are still terrible Magic cards, but hopefully I'll be able to build a good, tier 1 deck. Or
Nice. I mean, the beautiful thing with
it's going to fall into.
Well, the beautiful thing with black is there's plenty of removal, there's plenty of hand disruption. I mean, there's plenty of ways you could build that. Have you got an idea of how you want to build this?
Yeah, so it's black and green because of the ability as well. Yeah, so that gives you access to ramps. You can actually ramp up so that then, the fact that your creatures cost more than they should is kind of negated by the fact you're in green. And black has ways to get double mana, right? A lot of ways to get.
I haven't built a Golgari deck in a long time. Actually, I probably am due one.
Yeah, there's something to be said for low cost commanders as well. 2 mana commanders, just great.
Kinnan.
So.
Kinnan's a two mana, and we all know what that can do.
He's absurd.
He is absurd. I love him. I love Kinnan. I've rekindled my love again for Kinnan, and it's really nice because sorry, side tangent here because we will get back to Foundations. But the thing I really like about it is I took my last Kinnan deck apart because you turn up. It was high powered EDH, but even it wasn't. Not really. It was definitely borderline. It was too powerful for the pods I was playing in, basically. So I took it apart. But it's so nice to have it back built again. And I've still got some more building to do with it. But I'm loving it. Yeah. Loving it. Anyway, Foundations.
Some commanders just lean towards high power. Right. You got to honestly just embrace it and roll out the deck when you need to. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. It's always nice to have in the back pocket. Although, like I said, I've cut some semi consistent EDH pods now, so in the local area, which is always good. So I'm looking forward to honing my skills with it and playing it out. Anyway, let's get back to Foundations because that's what we're actually talking about. I haven't had much hands on it, actually. I unfortunately missed the boat with my collector boosters. I'm gutted because trying to get hold of them is trying to get hold of them in the shop is really difficult. Basically, they don't have any and are waiting for restocks. And I can't bring myself to get them from anywhere else at this moment in time. So I will be picking some up at some point. But I did get a box of play boosters, and I got some pretty good pulls. Yeah, I got some half decent stuff. I've just told a small lie. I did actually get a couple of collector boosters while I was out in Lisbon. And one thing I did pick it up from, if you're listening to it, listening to the pod, make sure you go check out our pod on YouTube, and I'll pull this and show you this little beauty, which was I managed to get a nice. You can't see the foil on it, but the foil doubling season, the cat version.
So this is the special guest version. So
yes,
it is very cool.
It was the first pack as well. It's like, oh, hello. I was like, that's a little Brucey bonus. So
I mean, the set looks great. It's, for those that don't know, Foundations is a new set that's come out, and it's effectively the core set for the next 5 years of Standard.
Yeah, 2029, I think, isn't it?
They've said that, it will be legal until at least 2029.
Interesting.
Whether they ban anything, that's another matter. But the cards that you get out of these boosters will be playable in Standard for 5 years, which is unprecedented.
I think that I know we've already sort of spoke about this in previous pods, but I think this is a really good move personally. I think it's just meant hopefully that sets moving forward, hopefully instead of, we need to print a negate and we need to print a Day of Judgment or blah, blah, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully they don't need to print that stuff in. So hopefully it gives them a bit more breathing space to put some newer cards in and to really expand the play out.
I think especially given the current Magic where we don't stay on planes, you have one set on the plane and then you're moving on. And what they've recently announced is that there will be also 2 Universe Beyond sets a year, which will be Standard legal as well, which is another change.
Yes.
So Standard is going to be huge. I think there's going to be like the most sets ever in Standard. There's going to be like 18 sets at once or something, isn't it? Or something like that.
We've got a lot of Magic products coming out, haven't we?
But back to my point is that, by not having to reprint, Shock, Negate, all that stuff, it leaves room to put some flavor cards in or some cards that represent the plane a bit more, so you get a bit more of a feel for the plane. Not just a braid with a different artwork, or
exactly. And I think it's a really good move. I think it's been definitely needed. I wasn't particularly too sad to see core sets go, but actually once they then went, I was a bit like, it's nice. They were never the sexiest set to buy, but they set their purpose for exactly what it was supposed to do. So it's nice to kind of effectively have that back. There's a hell of a pool in Foundations as well, isn't there? So lots of cards, and actually, I'm enjoying watching formats with particularly Standard and how it's affected Standard.
There's a few interesting decks out there. Yeah. There's some great cards that like Drake Hatcher is like a crazy card that's it's in a deck built around it. Mm-hmm. It's like a 1/3 prowess, and when it deals damage, you can you get a Drake counter on it. And you can remove 3 Drake counters to create a 2/2 Drake with flying.
Oh, nice! Yeah.
So you have that. You play this 2-drop and you pump it up with auras and other things, and then you remove the counters. You can do that any time to create these Drakes. Really interesting. So there's a few new decks just from Foundations coming out. So it proves that the cards in it as well aren't.
Yeah, they're not just chaff sort of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there's some really powerful cards that have shaken up Standard. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it'd be interesting.
The one thing I really wanted to do, but I've just not had time for. I wanted to go do one of the pre-releases. Did you manage to get to a pre-release?
I didn't go to Foundations pre-release. I was playing Warhammer 40,000.
We'll talk about Warhammer 40k because there is something I want to talk about that. But okay. So you
a 40k pod as well.
40k pod. I have been playing my my Malice Calgar deck actually. I took that to me to Vegas, like straight out of the box, upgrade or anything like that. I forgot how much I love that deck. I love that deck.
Those pre-cons were awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
I actually played with the Necron one on Friday just gone.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, very cool.
They are good. I forgot how good they were. I really, really did. I also forgot how much those cards pringled, but we'll put that to one side.
I sensibly bought the non-foil, so...
I mean, I arguably sensibly brought the foil one and thoroughly love them, even if they are curled. But I take your point. No, I've really enjoyed what Foundation seems to have done. There seems to be a bit of a freshness to Standard at the minute, and I think part of that is I'm not going to stand here and say Foundations has changed Standard. Like, I'm not going to stand that, but it has definitely put a bit of freshness into it, as well as Dustmourn and Bloomburrow as well. I think those 3 sets have shaped things up a little bit. They've put some good cards into the format. They've shook up some of the decks, and it's really nice to see. It feels... my finger is not always on the pulse of Standard, but I do try and keep my eyes on it. But it does feel like it's a bit of a brewer's paradise at the minute, actually, which I think is really, really interesting. Bear in mind, this next RCQ season, we are going to be playing Standard. Which I think is great. I think Standard, I love watching Modern and Pioneer, Pauper. Like, I do really enjoy those formats. But Standard is kind of and should really be the benchmark of Magic the Gathering, I think. And it's nice to see it back in.
It feels like a step in that direction, doesn't it? That's been sorely lacking. And actually, by doing this, by creating this solid foundation to build on, obviously that's why they've built it that way. Of course. So you've got this massive card pool that's going to be legal for this long, and it's only going to increase obviously as the sets keep coming. And some of these Universe Beyond sets, because they're going into Standard now, that'll each set should have something that'll shake things up. So hopefully this is what's going to happen. Are you looking forward to Universes Beyond Standard legal sets, Dom? Interesting question. I don't mind. The next in Magic set is like we're so close to. We've got a Death Race set, right? Yep. We've just had a horror set. We had a little fairy creatures set, so. Most of these Universes Beyond are almost going to be tame in comparison. They'll just be, superheroes or, does it matter whether it's a car driving over my head or Spider-Man kicking me in the head? And I don't think it matters, honestly.
That's fair. I get that. I think the thing that I don't dislike it. I want to make that nice and clear. But the thing I have got in the back of my mind is we are we are basically, I think if I remember rightly, we've half our sets are universes beyond of some sort. If I remember rightly, next year.
Unfortunately, Lorwyn, Return to Lorwyn has been pushed back into 2026 to make room effectively for another. The Spider-Man set.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't know if it's a Spider-Man or the other one, but
so there's going to be an entire set based around Spider-Man towards the end of next year, which will be standard legal. It's like cool. I think because they're printed as standard, hopefully they'll print them at high volumes. So it means that is one of the things where, so like the Lord of the Rings sets, like actually some of these cards start demanding a real premium because they're an expensive set. They're premium boosters. They're not standard boosters, right? So you have to pay above the odds for maybe cards that you would need. Whereas actually printing these straight into standard, there should be more of them. So I think especially with the Marvel, you're going to have a lot of people who are buying it just to collect the cards, right? Which was similar for Lord of the Rings, but by having it as a standard booster set, hopefully there'll be a lot more of them out there. I'm sure there'll still be chase cards, but you know, I mean, more packs will end up getting opened, I think.
I fundamentally like Universes Beyond. I think it's great to have, you know, SpongeBob SquarePants may not be my thing, but I tell you what, I thoroughly enjoyed Warhammer 40k, and there'll be people that enjoy SpongeBob, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. My slight niggle at the back of my head is, like I said, we are now seeing this isn't a set a year. We are now seeing half our sets a year are looking to be it. I don't care about Spider-Man. You know, I'm gonna equip my Spider-Man, and I'm gonna equip him with my Shadow Spear or whatever it might end up being, or Colossus Hammer or whatever it might be, and then he's gonna swing into you. I don't actually really mind that.
Unintended.
Exactly. Swinging in, exactly. Let out. There is just a little part of me that's like, are we going to get ourselves to a point where our standard sets are all Universes Beyond, and I think we will be missing something from Magic that I love, which is Magic. But I don't want to sound negative because I am looking forward to it, but I do just have that little niggle in the back of my head.
I think Magic from the start, obviously, it's changed massively.
It has, yeah.
But a lot of people forget that at the very start of Magic, there was power suits and, you know, robots and all this kind of. It was like almost. It was like quite heavy towards the sci-fi side of fantasy. All this kind of stuff where they were riding around in giant mech suits and wearing power armor and all this kind of. And we're kind of coming back around, so we've got a space set that's going to be coming, haven't we?
See, I'm looking forward. I was tentative of this, but I am actually quite looking forward to this now. I'm interested to see what they do with it.
It looks interesting. So it's basically the space set in particular. They've just released some images, haven't they? So at Vegas, they previewed some images from it. So you've got Tezzeret returns, got his dark steel body now, and it's set at the edges of the universe, effectively, where the universe meets the blind eternities, or the edge of the. It looks interesting. I mean, they did the Unfinity, didn't they, which was set in space. And some of the land, you know, the special lands and everything, they just look so beautiful. Actually, when you got a starry sky with just a planet on it and all this, actually the cards look awesome. But you are kind of steering away from the kind of swords and sorceries, which I guess modern Magic has become.
So, look, I certainly don't want to gatekeep our fantastic game. The one thing I will definitely say for the Marvel IP is it's going to draw people into our amazing game. It's going to get more people playing it. And I think any of the Universes Beyond we've seen in the past, I've said on the pod and I've said to you beforehand, one of my friends I play in a band with, he was asking me about Lord of the Rings and Magic the Gathering because he knew I play Magic the Gathering, and he knew that Lord of the Rings, which he loves, had been released into. So do you know what I mean? You've got someone that's not really interested asking me questions about it. So that is the power of Universes Beyond, and that is incredible. It's bringing potentially new people, at very least it's interest in the game, if not people playing it. So in that respects, I think it's fantastic. And like I said, I don't have a problem in whether Spider-Man is going to be swinging in his, fighter pilot from a set, and I'm going to attach my SpongeBob SquarePants wrist caddy to him. Like honestly, that side of things I'm not that fussed about. It's really not. I just have a small reservation that 2-3 years down the line, are we going to have, 16 sets, and half of those sets are going to be Universes Beyond? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I love Magic the Gathering, as I know you do as well, Dom. And again, I accept that there's going to be change. I just hope that we don't get to a point where we look back and go, I love what we've done. I just wish we hadn't done so much of it so quickly.
Quite possibly. I mean, because they're standard sets, obviously a lot of the cards will go into standard, rotate out of standard. You'll never see them again, right?
Yeah.
As well.
That's fair.
Yeah.
No, that is fair, and I do take that point.
Yeah.
But by the time that rotates,
you end up seeing them in Commander, right? But that doesn't matter because
Commander's Commander. Like I have no issues. Like that's for me. That's kind of where like make it sound like it's only for Commander. I don't mean that at all. But that's actually where you can get these really sort of funky things. You can have the D&D movie. The Secret Lair they had. You can have your the name of the guy has just gone from my head. Any of those actors, you could have him as your commander, and
Chris Pine.
Yeah, you could have Chris Pine. That's the person I was speaking of. So you could have your Chris Pine, as your commander, and then you could have, Frodo next to him or whatever. You put your One Ring onto the battlefield, and then you can, have your. It's just gone from my head. It doesn't really matter. You can have Walking Dead stuff like that. That's fine, and like it's all good. It's all fine. I like I said, I just hope we're not in a position where we're seeing such a flood that we'd start to step away from the fantasy side.
I think,
and the sci-fi, fantasy sort of side.
Yeah. I think. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are invested in the story of Magic, and I think that might be the thing that ends up being the thing that suffers the most, because you're only going to have 2 sets a year.
Stories are good, like, man. Like, I don't know if you've ever. I cannot, for the life of remember their name, but they always read the stories out on Twitch for Magic, and they are really fantastic. Good. They're really good. I've really enjoyed them. Yes, they don't have the depth that they used to, but they used to release them as like small novels and that sort of stuff. Like, and I've read some of those, and they were very, very good. I just hope we don't miss out on that, because that to me is. It's a side project of the Magic the Gathering sets. We're here to play the games, but I find the stories they create behind them really interesting. So I hope we don't lose that.
I'm sure that will continue alongside the actual Magic sets, right?
Yeah.
But you're probably not going to get that for Spider-Man, but maybe they'll do a comic that goes alongside it or something like that. But
that might
obviously it won't be anything to do with the Magic universe, right?
No, exactly, and that's where we come down to. So. We've got some interesting times coming up. The one thing I do want quickly just swing back onto Foundations. The one thing I do want to sort of say about it is that watching it being played has made me get a bit of a taste and want to go play Standard again. So I have built myself a Standard deck. I say I've built it. I've got 5 more cards that are currently in the post right now, and then it's ready to rock and roll.
And what have you built?
Well, so guess what colour pairings?
It's a pairing. Interesting.
I'll tell you, it's 2 colour.
It's Azorius.
It is. But guess what Azorius it is?
I don't know. Flyers. What is it?
Flash Flyers. That's what I've built.
Flash Flyers. Oh, you foul beast.
Do you know what? Honestly, so actually, it's sat here winking at me. So in Outlaws of Thunder Junction, they released a card called Stoic Sphinx, and it's It's 2 generic and 2 blue for a flying creature, flash flying creature, a 5/3. It says when Stoic Sphinx has hexproof, as long as you haven't cast a spell this turn. And I've been sitting there ever since I was released. Yeah, well, I was like, I really like this card. I think, and I was sitting there thinking, I really, really like it. I love that it's a 5/3, evasion, flash. Like, this has got a bit of me written all over it. I love a bit of flash, all that sort of stuff. On your end step, I'll flash this in and off we go. We're off to the races. And I love that it has hexproof as well.
Honestly, one of my favourite ever standard decks was the Simic Flash deck. Where you had the wolf that could flash in, and you had the Merfolk that countered the spell and all that kind of stuff.
I think if I remember rightly, one of our friends, Alex Armstrong, played that deck in standard, and I loved it. I'm pretty sure it was that deck. I'm pretty sure it was the Simic Flash deck he was playing, and I loved it. It was so good fun. It's good to play against. It's good to watch as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, funnily enough, one of the cards, the Brineborn Cutthroat or something like that has just been reprinted. That got reprinted in Foundations.
Yep, I'd seen this as well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And I wanted to build something. I've sort of said to a few people about this. Anyone can grab one of the meta decks, build it, and go play it. And there is nothing wrong with that. I want to make this nice and clear. But what I've wanted to do for a while is build my own deck and play it and try and build upon it and get it better and better and better and better. And inevitably, what I always end up leaning into in those sort of scenarios, I'm always a bit like, I just play control. Like, it's what I know, it's what I love playing. But the problem is when you then start playing control decks, you then have to start, you basically come full circle back into what is being played in the meta, because it's the best form of that deck. So, and I kind of wanted to avoid that, although I have built another Azorius control deck, but we'll come down to that in a minute. But I've been looking at this Stoic Sphinx for a while, and I'm thinking to myself that there has to be a control style deck where you can play this. Hullbreaker Horror has rotated out, and this, look, don't get me wrong, this is not Hullbreaker Horror. That card is brilliant. This is not that card.
Is mad.
It is mad. I love that card. But a 4-mana 5/3 flash flyer that has hexproof, unconditionally. I kept thinking to myself, I was like, there's got to be a deck around this. There has to be a deck around this, because 5 in the air that basically you either need to block with other flyers, fine. 5/3, and it hasn't got the biggest back end, so its toughness isn't big. But I tell you what, you swing in for 2 or 3 times with that, and that connects. It's 15 damage, 10, 15 damage. You've got to start worrying about that.
Yeah, that's backbreaking, isn't it?
Exactly. So, and the other thing I've kind of got with it as well is so I've built with, again, it was released in Foundations, is it's an Emporium Eagle. Gives other flyers +1/+1. And I'm just a bit like, and then it started to build, and I was like, because there's some nice little flyers and there's some other flash creatures in there flying, and I was like, I've started to build it. I've got a bit of a tempo here. I'd say this is probably a bit of a mid-range deck, more so than like a full tempo or anything like that. But the whole idea is it's evasion. And I can't wait to play it. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm sure I'm going to play the living hell out of it and be like, this is shocking. I keep getting beaten because
you're going to end up blocking some red 3/1 with your 5/3s to survive or something. Yeah,
maybe. But to be quite honest, so it's funny because this is where mono red in a minute is basically. Is you do what mono red does, and if you win, you win. If you don't, you don't. So actually, I've got 1/1 flyers in there that if I'm having to block a prowess creature.
Yeah, so you got a lot of the Otter Prowess deck actually seems really good. So you still, I think Monastery Swift Spear is still in the format.
Yes, still in the format. Yep.
So you can build an insanely good prowess deck around the Storm Chaser's Talent. Is it? There's a little. It's one of the classes creates a little 1/1 otter.
That's right.
With prowess, and there's an adventure otter from Eldraine.
Yes.
Well, which it's like you can't block creatures that are with less power.
I think it is less power. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So actually, that deck looks really cool as well.
It's one of those things where, like I sort of said to you, it's just got me revitalized. You know, I feel like yeah, I'm ready. I want to play this. I want to get involved in it, and I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, don't get me wrong.
You'll have to let us know how your standard adventures go.
Well, I'm looking to play the. They've got the standard showdown in Langdon sometime early-ish December, so I'm hoping to play that. So I'm just going to get some reps in with my deck at the minute, learn how to play it. Like, I want to learn the ins and outs of it, you know, play against some quote-unquote meta decks and see how we go. Just going to go have some fun. I mean, look, I'm not a competitive player. You know, I don't get my sweat on when I play these things, but you know what? I just want to go have some fun, win a couple of games. I'll be happy. That's all I'm asking for.
Cool. Well, you got 5 years to win a couple of games. There you go.
Well, some of these cards would have rotated out. Oh, actually, I do. Let me quickly grab it because I do really want to talk about. There's a card that has been released in Dustmourn, Sheltered by Ghosts. Have you seen this card?
Yeah, this is absolutely foul. There's a.
So let me read it. So for anyone,
read the card, yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know, Sheltered by Ghosts, it's a generic and a white. It's an enchantment aura. Enchant creature you control. When Sheltered by Ghosts enters, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Sheltered by Ghosts leaves the battlefield. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has lifelink and ward 2. This card is fantastic, man.
It's there's a
wow.
There's a particular creature from Dustmourn which is just unblockable.
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So I've seen the deck played where, you bring out all these unblockable creatures and you enchant them with that. It's like they become impossible to remove. You can't block them and you simply perish.
It's got ward 2 on it, man, and lifelink.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah. Anyway, so I think I've got 4 of in the deck as well because I thought, well, you know, the Stoic Sphinx is great with hexproof, but I tell you what makes it even better: ward 2 as well and lifelink. 6/3 with evasion with ward 2, hexproof if I don't cast anything. And that Sheltered by Ghost is basically removal on a stick as well. You know, I looked at a card and I was like, this card is brilliant. I love it. It does everything I need it to do.
I'll be interested. All these, little otters and monastery swifters be ticking in the life total. We'll see. Actually, being able to flash in a 5/3 to basically murder the otter or something is going to be brilliant. Honestly,
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like, don't get me wrong. Is it top tier? Is this deck going to be top tier? No. I'm under no illusions. Under no illusions. But like I said, if I can go to Friday Night Magic or go to the Showdown, win some games, and have some fun, I'll be really happy. I'm just looking forward to playing some more standard and some more sort of quote-unquote competitive Magic. You know, I haven't played for a while.
Since I've gone to a Friday Night Magic.
Yeah. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should do it, Tom. You can build your Gorgons.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Jumpstart cards, unlike the rest of the foundations, are not standard.
They are not standard. You are dead right.
Yeah, I would. No, it's terrible. But there we go. Yeah, we'll see.
We shall see. So I just wanted to bring up one other thing before we start to finish this off. The Marvel Secret Lair DOMs.
Yes. So
how much of a fiasco was that?
A lot of people wanted this, obviously, and I was very, very fortunate. I didn't have the experience that it seems like a lot of people had. I queued up, and when I left the gym, my queue was over, and I bought a bundle and got my Arcane Signet.
Yep.
In an hour. Whereas a lot of people, obviously, they had to pause the queue because it was messing up. And then people were sharing a link on social media that allowed you to skip the queue.
Oh.
Do you hear about that?
Yeah, I had that, yeah.
Yeah, so again, someone's been queuing for now, but yeah, everyone else skips the queue and buys it out. So you were sat in the queue and then everything was selling out before you could get what you wanted. And I think a lot of people, it was just a really poor experience overall. It's ever since they've gone from print to demand.
Yep.
To this FOMO. It is basically it's just the FOMO system, isn't it? So it's like if you don't get it now, you're never going to get it.
So I do,
and they're limited supply.
I do honestly believe, like, I hand on heart, I know Wizards have taken some flack over this, and look, I was one of those people. I was a little late to it. I probably got in the queue about an hour after it started. So I was already in an uphill battle, and I understand that. But I was in the queue for 2.5 hours. I'd moved about a fifth of the way through the bar. And then when you start getting pop-ups sort of saying, we've sold out of A, B, C, and D, it was one of those things I was like, yeah, I've missed a boat. Like, I've clearly missed a boat. So I was one of those people that missed out on. I do understand their prints of demand, because when we were going through the idea of you have your secret lair, you order your secret lair, and in 6 to 9 months it'll be in your doorstep. You remember it. It was far too long, and everybody moaned about that. So
by the time it arrived, you didn't really care about the cards anymore, right?
Well, it wasn't even that. I mean, I don't know if you had this, but I honestly had a couple of secret lairs turn up, and I'd get my email from my local delivery office like saying, "Oh yeah, we've got this being out delivered." I was like, "What is this?" And then I saw who it was from. I was like, "Well, it's obviously a secret lair, but
I remember.
What is it?" Like, do you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be somewhere in the middle where they can print a limited amount of stock, so people get their orders in early, get it sooner.
Yep.
What I will say is that actually, because I was one of the lucky ones, so I was in the queue. I was on the website half an hour before the sale began, and I was logged in. The moment it went, like the second it went live, I added the thing I wanted to my cart and I pressed checkout. Yep. And I was still queued for an hour because of the problems they had, but I did get what I wanted. I think everyone can do that because they're at work or they're looking after their kid.
So that was me.
There could be a number of reasons that you couldn't be online at that exact moment, right? Well, it's just like concert tickets, but it's, if you're not there the first few seconds, you can probably count yourself out of getting for something like this, where it is the first Marvel cards they've released, isn't it? So
here's the. I mean, ultimately, I agree with you, and I think you've just said what I think. There needs to be a halfway house. There needs to be so if you get it now, you'll be the first to get it, and then there'll be like not a limited print run, but like a halfway house. Like, okay, well, we've already had 5,000 people or 50,000 people say we want this secret lair, and they've already paid for it. So we're then going to make 100,000, and then you do, and then after that, that's the amount you've got left. The people that really, really want it have already got it. They've signed up for that. They paid for it, signed it. It's ready to roll. And then you've got another 50,000 for general release or something like that. And I know what the argument internally would be, which is, well, we could end up printing 50,000 of this and we only sell 40,000 of it, and 10,000 of it's not going around.
Ends up getting mulched or thrown in a landfill like we've seen with certain others.
Exactly. So, but there has to be a halfway house because of the feel bads. But the other thing I just want to touch on here, because the one card I particularly wanted, the Storm Secret Lair, because I want to try and build Storm as a commander. I didn't get any of the secret lairs, obviously. I was also quite interested in Iron Man one as well, but I didn't get any of them. So I then had to basically pre-order the single for Storm, and
ouch, yeah.
I mean, I haven't received it yet. We were talking about this before we started the pod. It is actually on its way. It's coming from Denmark, so it should be in the next sort of 7 days, something like that. But I have had to spend an amount of money on it that I really did not want to spend on it. And I know there's an argument of, oh, boo-hoo you, because I didn't have to buy it. I could have not left it, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that frustrated me a little bit was, and again, I alluded to this earlier when we were speaking before we started the pod, I have come across people face-to-face that have effectively sort of said, I over-ordered on those Marvel Secret Lairs, and I can sell you one right here, right now. And that one irks me a little bit. But also, you've seen them online. They've been, the Storm.
Oh yeah, there was major retailers that were listing, like quantities of like 50 of them or 100 of them.
But they were also going for 150, 200 pounds, and you're like, hold on, that's where we're in the realms of, look, if, for argument's sake, if RLGS managed to pick up 10 of them and they sold them for £70, £80, I wouldn't have an issue with that. I would not have an issue with that at all. The problem is I know for a fact that they wouldn't be selling it for 150 to £300, and that's the difference. That is the difference, and I hate to see that in this community because it's such a feel bad's in it.
Scalper. It's true of any limited product, isn't it? Like trainers or anything. Yeah. Again, constant tickets is the classic example.
Yeah.
Where you have you and two of your mates trying to get a ticket, and they all sell out to bots immediately because the store hasn't used a sensible way. I actually tried to get tickets for the League of Legends World Championships, which were in London this year. And my wife and I, we went to the finals when they were in South Korea.
Oh, nice.
And the tickets sold out instantly to bots because they weren't using a secure network. So they changed it so that you had to have a Riot account, which is the company that produced the game, and it had to be older than a year. Then they would send you a link to be able to buy the tickets for the second wave. So that was a really good way of doing it. But yeah, I mean, they've done it before where they pre-printed some stuff for like the advent calendar a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they did that for the D&D movie one as well. They had some printed, but I think what it's going to come down to is the fact that they are producing so many cards, they just don't have time or capacity to print to demand on some of these ones that are going to be really popular. They print an amount, they sell them, they get their money instantly. That's great. Thanks very much. Looks great for the partners. It's like, yeah, we just made you however many millions. We sold out instantly. Brilliant. And unfortunately, as always, it's your basic fan or consumer that loses out at the end.
I know nothing's ever going to change. Like I do, I'm not silly, and I appreciate that. But it's one of those things. So I've commonly sort of thought this to myself. Like I run my own business, and if demand is high in something, I increase that supply so I can meet with demand. I just feel like
I just don't think it's possible because they're producing too many cards. Well, maybe not too many, but there is a limit. There is only so many places that print these cards, right? So actually, when you're printing that many more cards, especially when they're all going to be standard sets, so they're going to be high print runs.
So okay,
capacity's got to come from somewhere, and I feel like Secret Lair is the one that's taken a hit, and also they're guaranteed to sell out, so they won't have to spend money on storage space for these things.
Let's talk about a hypothetical then here, Dom. You are a trading card producer. You have a factory up in Scotland that is printing your stock, and you get to a point where your demand far outreaches what you can produce, and you want to expand your business. Are you going to sit there and go, it's all right, I've made my money, I'm just going to sit on it? Or do you kind of go, you make your forecasts and you can sort of see, actually, if I can double my supply, I can sell half of it. I can sell it all, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? What do? Do you sit on your hands and go, I'll take the money that's there? Or do you, invest some money in, and all of a sudden, hopefully, instead of having to maybe wait an extra couple of weeks because of sets, because, collector boosters or whatever aren't coming in, or even we've had issues recently where pre-release decks nearly didn't make it to pre-release weekend and that sort of stuff. Like, I
think that's the reason.
I think you're right,
because they can't afford to delay actual set releases for these Secret Lairs.
And I think you're right. 100%. I think that's exactly what it is. Absolutely fine. 100% right. And I'm not standing here for a second saying, oh yeah, well, they're a massive company, so they've got the millions to spend on it to increase that. But surely if you increase, they will sell that amount that they increase into it.
I don't think Wizards print their own cards, do they? They don't own these factories, do they?
No, but surely
playing card manufacturers, so there's only so many of them. And well, yeah, maybe if you invested in one of them, they would build you another factory.
Maybe.
But yeah, that is obviously, ideally, you would print enough for everyone, but then they wouldn't have any value, and that is something also that Wizards try to avoid. If you've printed enough so that everyone that wants one can have one, then they are literally worthless, right? They don't hold how that reprint equity is important. Now, everyone says, they don't take the secondary market into account. That's nonsense. They've said several times they have like rooms full of accountants that tell them what not to reprint because it's got equity in it and what to reprint. Yeah, we can let that one go because, Sheldred's there now, so our equity's up. So, yeah, that would be Magical Christmas Land. That would be perfect. Everyone that wanted the cards gets the cards, but unfortunately,
that's not how it works.
If everyone that wanted those Marvel cards bought them, they would be not worth any money, and that is again something that Wizards will try to avoid because they are selling a collectible. They wouldn't be collectible anymore because everyone in the universe would have them.
Yeah, I know.
Multiverse.
I know you're right, but then there's the cynical side. There's the cynical side of me that then kind of sits there and says they don't care because they've already sold you the product. They've made their money.
Yeah, but now they can reprint it and make a whole load more money. So I know the demand is there, right?
Yeah, or they could just move on to the next thing. They don't have
time to reprint these things.
Yeah.
They don't have the capacity to reprint them because they're already printing the Universe Beyond set that's going to be released in a year's time, right?
Yeah.
So it's so far ahead of it. It's like, they design 2 years ahead, or 18 months, 2 years ahead. So these things are printed before we even get previewed, aren't they? So
it's also a very fair point. Very fair point.
It's like a huge organization. It's quite lumbering in a sense that it's tricky for them. If something desperately needs a reprint that is a brand new card, it takes some real time to get that through.
Yep.
And it's like I think Kevin said a while ago, for the Challenger decks, actually they squeeze their production time, and it still was like 18 months from product design to print.
It's crazy.
Something like that. And I mean, maybe if obviously you've got the foundations legal for 5 years, maybe we'll get some standard precons. Maybe
I would love cool. I'd love to see them do some more challenger decks. I've said many a time I think they have fantastic products and they should do more of them.
But Secret Lairs, I think it's a real shame, especially for this one, because they knew the demand was going to be sky high for this one, and obviously the website went wrong. Okay, not great. They need to improve the way you queue because people can skip the queue, which was horrible for those people who've been waiting there for hours on end, and then someone else has hopped ahead of you in the queue and bought it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a negative experience with it. It was like any other Secret Lair sale for me, but I know an awful lot of people who just were down on the whole thing and didn't get the cards they wanted, and it's a real shame. So.
Yeah. Yep. Winners and losers in this scenario. Isn't that just life, eh? Right, Dom. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this bad boy up? Wrap it up for Christmas.
Ooh, yeah. Christmas is coming. Buy your family a beginner box for foundations and
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, I think that's about all we've got time for.
Cool. I do think actually, I know we've spoken about this previously, but I do actually think what we should do, particularly if you didn't play a pre-release and neither did I wonder if we should get a pre-release kit each and maybe we can do a little 1v1 job.
Yeah, we said this actually. Should we do that for foundations if there's any left? Maybe we should do that.
Well, I was in Langdon yesterday, and they did have some foundations pre-release kits in there. So I wonder if we pick up a couple, and maybe we can do that.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think that'd be really cool. We can make a nice little video about it. We'll do a little time lapse of deck building. We can play some games. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I mean, you're just going to beat me into pulp as always, but.
Or you could get some jump starts as well. That's another good way to play.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's happy days. Yeah. Anyway, cool. Right. Well, it's nice to get back onto the podcast. like we said earlier on in this pod, we have got the fantastic Matt from our Matthew Holden from our LGS coming in, Langdon Games. So that should be recorded really, really soon, within the next week or so. So I think it's going to be a really good episode. I think it's going to be really good to hear from an LGS perspective of a lot of this sort of stuff. And I know recently they have now gone back to having a recommended retail price, which has been something
MSRP.
They have been desperately talking and wanting. So, I think be interesting. I think we're going to have some really interesting conversations, because we're going to want to talk about Magic the Gathering, and I think there's going to be some controversial things said about LGSs and Magic the Gathering. So a little teaser there, but I think that's going to be coming, because I know we've already spoke about it previously. But anyway, so that'll be coming up soon. But guys, thank you for joining us as always. Apologies again for my horrific schedule of being too busy and gallivanting around the world. It always gets in the way. I can assure you. Even my actual day-to-day job, people moan about it as well. So
yeah, did you bring me back a present then after all these adventures? Then
I did. Yeah.
Oh, I'll look forward to receiving that then.
I was going to make a cheeky comment about, I'm back, so it's fine. But I thought, I thought that's
a reward for everyone.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, it could be a curse. Who knows? Depending on the person. But anyway, guys, it's been nice to get back onto it. I hope you guys have thoroughly enjoyed this one. Hopefully, we'll get back to a bit more of a consistency of recording and release. But what do you guys want us to talk about? We're always keen, and we always love to hear your feedback. So feel free to drop us a message on the socials. Leave a comment on this will be on YouTube, as well as all your good places you get your podcast from. So please feel free, give us a comment, like all that sort of stuff, and let us know what do you want us to talk about. But yeah, Dom, it's amazing to sit down with you as always, and we'll catch up again real soon. Okay?
Yep, it's been marvelous.
Hooray! It's been marvelous. God. Anyway, on that note, guys, we'll see you next time. Take it easy. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.